of Enugu people and the cries of Nigerians are facing this road. So I want to join you to also commend the President, commend the Ministry of Works and Housing, and commend the contractors for a wonderful job. And also commend the Senate for bringing the plight of the people of Enugu, particularly that section of the road, to the notice of the federal government. This is good news, and that is how it should be. And this is why the APC is a bride to be looked after by all. So thank you so much. Thank you. And Mr. President, thank you for this intervention. Thank you on behalf of all of us. Thank you on behalf of all Nigerians. May the soul of those who lost their lives rest in perfect peace. And then the commissioners can now travel in peace. Thank you.
Order?
Yes. Senator Anik Ambassi.
I'm coming under order 41 and 51.
Yes, go on.
Thank you, Mr. President, for yielding this floor to me.
I wish to read.
To proceed with this all-important matter of urgent public importance. The intensifying xenophobic persecution of Nigerians in South Africa and Ghana. A call for urgent national diplomatic and humanitarian action to defend the dignity, safety, and honor of Nigerian citizens. The President, Senator Anik Ambassi.
You are coming under order
41 and 51.
What do the others say?
41. The matter of discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate after commencement of the day sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied with the matter, that the matter is definite and urgent. 2. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate, the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of the senators. The matter shall stand down back to the next legislative day.
The matter shall
stand down.
The distinguished colleagues, Senator Anik Ambassi actually brought the matter which is urgent and very crucial. It's in respect of the diplomatic row between Nigeria and South Africa. The killing, the shaming, and the burning of shops and burning of Nigerians in South Africa. It's such a tragic incident. But like you said, I can just ask whether the matter should stand to the next legislative date, or do you wish to take it now?
I will take it now, Your Excellency.
The same is it the view of the Senate that if we are allowed to take the matter now? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it, so we can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, for yielding the floor to me to move this very, very important matter of urgent public importance. A call for urgent national diplomatic and humanitarian action to defend the dignity, safety, and honor of Nigerian citizens. This matter is co-sponsored by Senator Osita Eziraso. The Senate notes the grave concern and overwhelming sense of national pain the widely reported incidents of April 2026 and the recurring waves of xenophobic violence, persecution, intimidation, harassment, displacement, destruction of businesses and properties, and threats to life directed against Nigerians and other African nationals resident in South Africa and Ghana, forcing many innocent persons to live in terror, thereby abandoning their livelihoods and fleeing communities in which they lawfully reside, and they have contributed immensely through honest, labor and enterprise. The Senate also notes with deep concern that beyond the physical attacks lies a deepening atmosphere of fear, humiliation, psychological trauma, and dehumanization, wherein Nigerians are increasingly profiled, hunted, and treated as though being a Nigerian national alone constitutes an offense. A situation the government of the Republic of South Africa have publicly acknowledged and offer promises towards restoring order, thereby confirming the authenticity, seriousness, and contemporaneous nature of this incident. The Senate further notes that these ugly developments have generated widespread diplomatic anxiety across the African continent, prompting urgent engagement by several African states for the protection of their nationals, including reported measures by Botswana to close its border with South Africa and facilitate safe return of its citizens. The Senate recalls with solemn historical reflection and patriotism that Nigerian government workers, students, civil servants, and even ordinary market women stood unwaveringly at the forefront of the struggle against apartheid and racial oppression in South Africa from the 1960s until the dawn of democratic rule in the early 1990s. Sacrificing enormous financial resources, bearing diplomatic burdens, and demonstrating collective solidarity in the pursuit of liberation, dignity, and humanity of South Africans. The Senate also recalled that attacks directed against persons in the basis of nationality constitute grave violations of international human rights principles, offend the conscience of civilized nations, and are inconsistent with the provisions of ECOWAS protocols on free movement, the Charter of African Union, and other binding regional and international instruments guaranteeing the sanctity, dignity, equality, and protection of human persons. The Senate is aware that there is growing outrage, grief, disappointment, and frustration among Nigerians at home and abroad, arising from the perception that the response of the Nigerian authorities has not matched the urgency, fairness, and diplomatic assertiveness expected of our country. Historically regarded as the defender of black dignity and African solidarity. The Senate is also aware that recurring attacks have led to loss of lives, destruction of property, and business. Painstakingly built over decades. Displacement of families and some of their young children and elderly. Restrictions of movement, severe psychological trauma, and erosion of the sense of dignity and security. The Senate is also concerned that despite repeated diplomatic assurances and plans undertaken by the host countries during similar occurrences in the past, there have been no satisfactory demonstration of accountability, visible deterrence, meaningful prosecution of perpetrators, or enduring guarantees for the protection of the victims, thereby entrenching a dangerous culture of impunity and emboldening further xenophobic violence. The Senate is also concerned that if immediate and decisive intervention is not undertaken, the continued escalation of these attacks may trigger retaliatory tensions, diplomatic strains, regional instability, and further deterioration of inter-African relations, contrary to the aspirations of the continental unity and peaceful coexistence. The Senate accordingly resolved to 1. Condemn unequivocally and in strongest terms the ongoing xenophobia attacks, persecution, intimidation, and acts of violence directed against Nigerians in South Africa and Ghana, describing such acts as barbaric, unacceptable, unlawful, and morally reprehensible and fundamentally inconsistent with the ideals of African brotherhood and international human rights norms. 2, the Senate urges the federal government of Nigeria to immediately engage the high-level diplomatic dialogue with the government of South Africa and Ghana to ensure the protection of Nigerians. Demand full, transparent, credible, and independent investigation into all reported incidents with a view to identifying, arresting, prosecuting, and punishing all perpetrators and their sponsors, as well as obtain enforceable assurances against future occurrences. 2, develop a comprehensive protection framework for Nigerians in diaspora, including early warning mechanism, diaspora displaced coordination centers, enhanced legal and diplomatic defense structure for Nigerians facing persecution abroad, and evacuation protocols where necessary, as well as developing strong regional enforcement and accountability mechanisms within ECOWAS and the African Union to deter xenophobia through imposition of appropriate diplomatic and legal action to protect the African citizens across borders. 3, activate all diplomatic and legal mechanisms, including summoning envoys when necessary, while providing emergency humanitarian assistance, temporary shelters, evacuation support where required, legal representation, trauma support services, and real-time protection and communication channels for affected Nigerians through the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and other relevant agencies. 3, mandate the Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs to embark on a fact-finding legislative inquest into the recurring xenophobia attacks on Nigerians, as well as engage with affected Nigerians, diplomatic missions, and international partners, and report back its findings to the Senate. I so move.
Senator May.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR, Nigerian Democratic Congress member. Mr. President, I rise to contribute to this very important motion brought by Senator Anyeke Atem through 4151 to this Senate. Mr. President, I was the first chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Foreign Affairs, and I handed over to Senator Anyeke Akpan. Mr. President, this is a very gory situation where Nigerians living in South Africa have over the years been disrespected, molested, annihilated, and hunted down. All their rights denied them. I was in South Africa in 2024, and I went to the Nigerian High Commission and interacted with the High Commissioner there. And I met Nigerian citizens who were invited for interaction with me. Mr. President, the stories they told about the type of hardship and the inhuman treatment they are subjected to was very grave and very worrisome. This is 2026. The xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa have continued. They are now hiding for their lives. They can't come out and do their businesses freely and move around. Mr. President, this is a situation where people are paying good with evil. This country contributed immensely to the end of apartheid regime in South Africa. You recall fire in Soweto when they were being burnt down, South Africans, black South Africans. They were hiding in their holes. And Nigeria came out very strongly to stand with them as our brothers and our sisters. The government of General Ramat Murtala Mohammed, though a military regime, said that Africa shall be the center of Nigeria's foreign policy. And a lot of our resources were deployed to providing succor to the black South Africans. If we knew, or if Murtala Mohammed and sovereign governments knew that South Africa can stand up and begin to insult Nigerians, would have turned the other way. They won't have the liberty they have today. So for them to take Nigerians like animals is not acceptable. The African Union, which South Africa is a member, should rise now and impose all necessary sanctions against South Africa. Nigeria should also do reprisal sanctions against these people because they are also living in Nigeria. They enjoy the liberties, the freedom to live in another country. Because the white man developed South Africa, they now think that anybody who has come to South Africa is coming to enjoy. But when they were under the gruesome regime of apartheid, they had nobody to run to except Nigeria. So I want to say that this report from the committee chairman of Senate Committee on Diaspora should be taken very seriously. There are some who cannot even come back. They arrest them and seize their traveling documents and throw them into jails. Some are taken to the courts and they will be denied legal representation. These were the complaints I got in 2024. When they apprehend any Nigerian, they take him to court and deny him legal representation. Nobody will speak for you. And they throw the person in jail. So, my distinguished colleagues, South Africa should receive a warning from this Senate, this Parliament, and the government of Nigeria, so that they know that freedom of movement is guaranteed under the Charter of the African Union. We cannot continue this way at all. And these recent killings should be investigated. Nigeria would demand serious investigation in South Africa. It should not be doing like this. Yes. Otherwise, we wait for them here. If we see them here, we think that this country belongs to very civilized and strong people. We are not weak. We are not weak. We are not weak. I say submit. They should respect Nigerians in South Africa. No, please. I'm very angry about this. Don't tell me to submit. I'm very angry. If you go there, you see the human treatment they're giving to Nigerians. Why should they do that?
Distinguished.
So, Mr. President, thank you.
Distinguished, everybody says
I spoke out of my...
We feel your pain. So that,
because I saw these things when I went there.
Yeah, don't worry, Senator
Nigerians should be hiding in South Africa.
Go ahead. This is not a discussion of one
thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Magulu.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno Senatorial District. I think the solution to this xenophobic attack in South Africa against Nigerians that has become a recurring decimal should be tackled by way of making the philosophical cornerstone of Nigeria's diplomacy should be centered around citizen-driven diplomacy. Citizen-driven diplomacy in the sense that wherever Nigerians are on the face of this planet Earth, the government of Nigeria should stand up to jealously guard and protect their interests in accordance with the United Nations Charter and other relevant international treaties to protect the rights of Nigerians. So I think it is high time, as I said earlier on, in order to cope in the boat, live in the boat, this ugly trend of Nigerians being harassed not only in South Africa but in other countries. Our diplomacy should be citizen-centered, citizen-driven, and their interests should be jealously guarded and protected wherever they are. Thank you.
Senator Baburo.
Mr. President, the e-treatments that Nigerians have continued to receive in South Africa from South Africans is no longer news. I think what is news here is the fact that the South African government has refused to intervene on behalf of justice. Mr. President, I don't really want to dwell on the past of the assistance of Nigeria to South Africa in the time of our need, because that is ordinarily what Nigeria and Nigerians expect Nigeria as a big brother in Africa and African affairs to do. But having said that, I do know too that even in God's kingdom, there is desire for reward or recognition. And that is why in the Bible, when Jesus Christ healed the 10 lepers, one of them went back and appreciated the work of God. And Jesus asked, were you not 10? Where are the other 9? And so ordinarily, without anybody telling South Africa should at least have some modicum of respect for Nigeria for having stood by her in a time of crisis. But having said that, ordinary diplomatic relationship between countries demand that South Africa, or any country for that matter, should have respect for the citizens of other countries in their country. And coming from South Africa, the pain in Nigeria is aggravated by the fact that Nigeria has continued to stand by South Africa in the international arena in all circumstances. And so, Mr. President, I think it has gone beyond rhetorics now that we, as Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, must at this moment condemn the continued killing of Nigerians, the continued perpetration of violence against Nigerians in South Africa. And of course, urge our government to refuse to continue to pander to this emotional attachment of Nigeria to other African countries in the name of African community and unity. While we value African unity, we also value the relationship of other countries, other African countries, to our country and our citizens. It is very, very painful that Nigerians continue to be killed,
Nigerians continue to be maimed in South Africa, and the South African government has not intervened. So, Mr. President, I urge the Nigerian government, therefore, I urge the Senate to urge the Nigerian government to take exception to the continued killing of Nigerians in South Africa. I so submit.
Senator Oshomole.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Adams Ali Eric Oshomole. I represent the people of Edo North. I do not intend to repeat any of the statements that have been made very eloquently by all of those who have spoken. And my point is not only informed by the fact that we were all contributors to the struggle against apartheid. I remember very well that it was because of the struggle against apartheid that a Nigerian president, then head of state, Murtala Mohammed, declared before the Americans that Henry Kissinger, who was Secretary of State, was not welcome to Nigeria. In the words of General Murtala Mohammed, he said the era of gunboat diplomacy was over. Nigeria's commitment to eradication of apartheid is not negotiable. And they proceeded to nationalize British Petroleum because the British too were supporting apartheid. So I can understand the pain that where we have built relationship, today we are looked at as if we are a body. But for me, sir, I didn't come to the Senate to lament what is not right. And I know that in diplomacy, there is a law of reciprocity. What are the issues in South Africa? The president of South Africa did campaign openly that foreigners were taking the jobs that South African people could do. That is why his hands and his legs are tied. What is my response? These Nigerians who are in South Africa, they are not there on holiday. They are there to work and to earn. And which kind of job they are doing? There are two categories. Many are traders, others are doing maybe some high-skilled jobs. So my view is that it is time to reciprocate. This Senate should adopt a position that MTN, a South African company that is cutting away millions of dollars from Nigeria every day, that Nigeria nationalize it and withdraw its license, so that Nigerian company can take over the MTN business and recruit more people. Those coming from South Africa will find good jobs working with the company that will replace MTN. And I know that South African president has interest in MTN. The second is that we ask the Minister of Communication of the federal government to revoke the DSTV, which is also a South African company that is cutting away millions of dollars, even abusing, resorting to practices that will not even be accepted in South Africa. I don't want this Senate to be shedding tears to sympathize with those who have died. We didn't come here to shed tears, and I'm not going to shed tears. If you hit me, I hit you. I think it is appropriate in diplomacy. It's an economic struggle. What the black South Africans are saying is that Nigerians are taking their jobs. Okay, Nigerians, come home and take over the job of MTN. Nigerians, come home and take over the job of DSTV. When we hit back, the president of South Africa will not only talk, he will go on his knees to recognize that Nigerians cannot be intimidated, and we do not condone any one life being lost. If a crime has been committed under South African law, they have the right to bring any sort of person to justice. But to kill our people as if we are helpless, we are not. By the time we turn in the economic hardship, we withdraw MTN license. Those people coming from Nigeria, from South Africa will have good jobs to do. Let South Africa continue with their jobs. Balance of madness, I believe there will be sanity, and we will tweak our bilateral relationship in a manner that is a win-win. Right now, Nigeria trade deficit with South Africa. South Africa is the one benefiting. So my colleagues,
some of the terrible horror scenes emanating from South Africa. are all very bereaved. It's very horrific. It's not something I can even recount here. I made a lot of phone calls, and but please, we should not take the action of recommending withdrawal of licenses of South African companies yet, because we need foreign investments in Nigeria. We should rather, as a simple motion that Anthony, I have not yet apologized to you. Came and told you the statement. I was watching him when he came. He came with anger.
Accepted. Apology accepted. Constitutional orders. Accepted, sir. Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdul Mingi, representing Bauchi Central, and I rise to raise the constitutional order part 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Section 4, Legislative of the National Assembly. First and second, the National Assembly shall have powers to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation or any part thereof, with respect to any matter included in the exclusive legislative list set out in part 1 of the second schedule to this Constitution. Over what you can say for and on behalf of Nigerians, on behalf of people of Nigeria.
Constitutional point of order is upheld. You may wish to contribute.
Mr. President, it is sad, tragic, that in this 21st century, the people of South Africa, and of course, some government officials, without recourse to looking at the history, without recourse to looking at the black race, without recourse to be doing what they are doing, which they have done in 1998, they repeated it in 2011, they repeated it in 2017, they did it again in 2020, and it is continuous. It has been. We have alternatives, we have options, and therefore these words should be sent across to South Africa. We know where South Africans are, not only Nigeria but all over Africa.
In a way that will show that the government is not behind it. A lot of motorcycles watching, and some using their phones to video, while a Nigerian who was dragged from the kitchen is being murdered. For what? For what? For being in South Africa. That means that South Africa is something we must call organizations like the United Nations. They should take action. It's not something that is a Nigerian thing alone. You know, Botswana has gone to pick their citizens from there. They've gone to the border. Zimbabweans are doing the same. Ghanaians are trying to withdraw their citizens, and Nigeria must do something very, 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 very urgent.
These NDC people in the African continent, there is hardly any country in Africa that will have problems that Nigeria will not go to assist them. I know how much money, energy and resources we spent to restore South Africa from the apartheid regime. I also recall the issue of ECOMOG, just a voice. The same time, Mr. President and my respected colleagues, the committee.
The Senator Ahmed Lawan.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, my name is Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, I represent Yabeno Senatorial District. Mr. President, I really need your full attention Chief Whip.
Telling you. Chief Whip Emeritus.
Allow the Senate President to listen to us.
Senate President Emeritus is talking.
Chief Whip, do your call.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I will listen to the previous interventions by our colleagues with rapt attention. If I told him to his face, enough is enough. You can't be killing our people while your businesses flourish. To the pan up and debate it, because we are affected. And the members, I don't know whether you have them here, but they are supposed to be in the Senate and in the House. Normally the Senate leader is a member from here and one additional person. If they have not been taking part,
are members of the panel.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, to be honest, the Senator Amelon,
The opportunity to speak, that would be nice, because wasting
do this alone. We are insisting that we involve the House of Representatives, and then we have a very, very important and crucial, and that is why we are here. We are here to protect the lives, the welfare, and the properties of Nigerians. This is just not acceptable. This is barbaric. This is crude. This is unheard of. This is Stone Age behavior, and we are not seeing action from the government of South Africa. That is the aspect that annoys me. We are not seeing action. So let's look at the prayers. Prayer 1, immediately engage in high-level diplomatic dialogue with the government of South Africa and Ghana. I don't know, why Ghana? Why Ghana?
is a period we are experiencing the same attack in Ghana. The same attack in Ghana.
But they are doing the same thing to Botswana. They
are doing the same thing to Nigerians in Ghana. The same.
Centers enhance legal and diplomatic defense structures for Nigerians facing persecution abroad and evacuation protocols where necessary, as well as developing stronger regional enforcement and legal actions to protect Africans generally across borders. Those in support of prayer to say aye. Amendment, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Neda Emerson. Develop a comprehensive protection framework by establishing coordination
against xenophobic attacks on Nigerians, as well as engage with affected Nigerians. Those in support.
A journey to South Africa for the purpose of solving the journey to South Africa.
Any seconder?
I represent the West. I wish to set up other committee to set up by the National Assembly, led by the Senate President himself,
to support of the additional prayer. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Lalong. Senator Lalong.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the additional prayers, which is very yes, sir. Yes.
What was agreed upon between late President Buhari and the current President of South Africa.
We will like battle that you, and because they have violated it and they keep killing Nigerians, that we revoke the license of MTN and revoke the license of DSTV as economic measures to show that we are not just, yes, is that okay? Those people who have died, their life is much more than foreign investors.
To come up with the midstream and downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. In accordance with the provision of Section 41, Subsection 6 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Mr. Rabiu Abdullahi Omar as the Authority Chief Executive of Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMD values. I respectfully request that this letter be accepted by the Senate during the voting. You are going back. Inshallah. 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 So I wish you luck. Leader of the Senate.
SB 1009. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, optometrists and dispensing opticians registration etc. Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1109. First reading.
Distinguished colleagues, obstetrics, optometrics and dispensing opticians registration etc. Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1009. First reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is presentation of a legislative bill standing in the name of Senate Leader on the dental therapies registration etc. Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1010. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, dental therapies registration etc. Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1010. First reading.
Distinguished colleagues, dental therapies registration etc. Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1010. First reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, before going into the first order of the day, I will want to move a motion that the House dissolve into executive session to address very, very important national matter. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second that the House move to executive session to address a very important matter affecting the nation. Thank you, sir.